I grew up as a farm worker and hearing the tales of, people would really work hard. Like in cutting asparagus, it would start in the dawn, because asparagus had to be cut early and sometimes work until dusk and for very little pay. And later we found out that the crew leader had been siphoning some of the asparagus off and stealing actually from the workers. There was no really any control. So I grew up we grew up in that labor camp, and then because of the, lack of pay, my father got a job with another grower, and then we consequently, I worked with that grower from the time I was like in the second grade until I graduated from high school. And so farming was a lot different then, it was more like small family farmers, and they provided housing and whole families worked together. And they amassed their money and bought cars. I remember my father buying a couple of brand new trucks, because that's what we used to travel in. And, nowadays it's very different. You have industrial farms, and workers can't afford to buy cars anymore, and they have to pay for their own housing, which is, shifting the cost of production to the worker. So anyway, so and farm workers then didn't have they weren't covered by minimum wages, unemployment insurance, no benefits. So it was, and the work was seasonal. So what people would do, the way they adapted is that they would follow the crops. We would work here and then go to work here. First there was asparagus and then sugar beets and mint, kind of row crops. And then we would go to California to pick cotton in the winter, and then first of all, from here we would go to Oregon to pick green beans and during the summer, and then all the kids could work, because they weren't in school. And then go to California in the winter, and then travel up here again in the spring. And so it was kind of like a circuit. And then eventually in California they mechanized the cotton, so our circuit got smaller, just from here to Oregon, the sugar beets. And so and everybody would, we would work as a family unit, and everybody would get the same wage. My father, who had been working as a farm worker for 30, 40 years and was very good, would get the same wage as myself, who was, 13, 14 years old. And, there was no differentiation. And, that's why everybody had to work, like working together, you'd make a living wage.